You didn't want to get out of bed that morning. I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, man, it's my birthday. It's kind of depressing.
I was like, what do you want to do today? And you're like, I don't know, surprise me. And I was like, you got it, pack a bag.
There was zero chance I said surprise me.
You said surprise me, and
Bullshit.
I said pack a bag. And you're like, wait, what? I don't really want to go anywhere.
No,
I was like, pack a bag and make sure you put a swimsuit in it.
Fine. Okay.
That happened.
I think it's a lie, but continue.
In days of yore, youth was born, the sturdy strength of the stock of gods. At the edge of the earth, Eden mates nine give birth and suckle to the brightest of the gods.
This vote has ended. Thank you all.
Group hug! Welcome to the Northwoods Kindred podcast. I'm Skogul, Gydia of the Northwoods Kindred.
And I'm Bodvarr, the chieftain and Gothi of the Northwoods. Today we got a fun show. We're going to talk about some of our recent history and evolve into our future sort of plans and goals. Is that a good way to say it?
It sounds fun, yeah.
So we're talking about the Northwoods today. We're not talking about just Ossetru in general. But, you know, that's our life.
I think we always talk about the Northwoods. It seems like
I mean, that's kind of what we do.
That is kind of what we do.
So we're going to start talking about the Highland concert, right? That we just went to. Was that where we were going to start, or did you have something else?
No, we were actually going to start at the beginning.
Before Highland.
Yes.
So the hunt?
Ja more de leva, ja more de leva.
That wasn't Highland, though. That was the hunt is where we kicked off Highland, but we already
talked about the hunt. Yeah. I'm talking about your birthday, your 50th birthday.
Yeah. Hey, I turned 50. Can you believe it? I'm ancient.
You look good for ancient.
I'm as old as a doubloon. I think that's a coin or something, like a pirate coin.
Yeah, I think a pirate coin in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, a doubloon. There you go. So I'm as old as the doubloon. Mm-hmm. So what about my birthday? Tell them. What's going on?
Well, I surprised you with this big, giant 24-hour surprise party with all of your kinsmen in downtown Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, it was quite the ordeal.
Yeah, you didn't want to get out of bed that morning. I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, man, it's my birthday. It's kind of depressing.
I was like, what do you want to do today? And you're like, I don't know, surprise me. And I was like, you got it, pack a bag.
There was zero chance I said surprise me.
You said surprise me, and
Bullshit.
I said pack a bag. And you're like, wait, what? I don't really want to go anywhere.
No,
I was like, pack a bag and make sure you put a swimsuit in it.
Fine. Okay.
That happened.
I think it's a lie, but continue.
So you grumpily packed a bag. You know, you were very disgruntled. And then I wouldn't tell you where we were going, but I did let you drive your Jeep. So you had that.
I did, but you would not let me stop at the car wash, which is one of my favorite things to do is to wash my car.
And technically, where we went first, there was a car wash in the parking lot. If you remember that.
I do remember that. That's why I brought it up. Still a little butthurt over that one.
But you have to get over that.
So the float spa was really cool. And you surprised me with a bunch of kinsmen, which was kind of cool.
Yes.
Stig and Sammy jumped me in the parking lot.
Yeah, they drove all the way from Montana for this.
Yeah. And then Jafnhar and Grafiel were already in there.
Yes.
They were already getting their massage on. I'd say the next thing is what lightened my mood, because that's like right up my alley.
Yeah, the next thing, we walked right out and right into the next event, which was an escape room.
Yeah, the escape room. We did the alien escape room. And it was a blast. And we won, by the way, and we had like 10 minutes to spare or 15 minutes to spare. So good on us for being smart enough to escape an alien dungeon or whatever that thing was.
And we saved Thor, and we sent him back onto his family, and we saved the world.
Now, we called the alien Thor because it looked like an alien gray, and Thor is the leader of the Asgard fleet. He's an alien gray in Stargate SG-1, the series. So if you've been hanging around this channel for very long, then you know that I love science fiction. I love Stargate, and I love the fact that they made Thor and the Asgards little gray aliens. So we called him Thor. So, and sent him on his way back to the Asgard fleet.
Yes, and save the world.
And save the world, of course. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, we were all heroes.
Yeah, like I've said before many times, that the gods work in coincidences, and this was a really amazing coincidence. And you can't ignore that these coincidences or these synchronicities are absolutely the universe doing what it's designed to do, which is to give you what you want or what you need. All you have to do is just recognize that that's what's happening and why you got to that point, and then you can start making that stuff happen more and more in your life. So, right, the world follows where your thoughts go. Law of attraction, like, let's throw out all the buzzwords, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's totally like that movie, The Hangover, but I mean, we didn't like wake up on the roof.
No, nobody roofied us.
No, but we did traffic International Denny's. And this was all because on our drunken walk home, you're like, oh, you know what sounds good right now?
Denver omelet.
Denver omelet.
Yes. Which leads us into the next segment. We're going to talk about Denver. Wow, that was a long way to get to that.
Surprisingly, in Denver, you did not order a Denver omelet.
I didn't.
Mm-mm.
I didn't, even though they said they had the best Denver omelets in Denver, which I thought was bullshit, so I wasn't going to play their game, so I ordered a different omelet.
Anyway, why did we go to Denver?
I don't remember.
How do you not remember?
Okay, so we went to Denver to see a Highland concert at Red Rocks, because that's supposed to be like a dream concert to go to, which coincidentally we met a couple of our fans there, which was really cool. We probably should have told more people that we were going so they would know to look for us, but we met...
we met people from TikTok, and we met a couple of our patrons. That was pretty amazing. We sat right in front of some of our patrons, and we went over there. And
well, you posted that picture on Facebook. Hi from Red Rocks, and they're like, hi from behind you, and we're like, oh hey. So we went over there and talked to them for a long time. But what they don't know is that we were totally tripping balls on mushrooms. So it's hey, it's decriminalized there.
No,
so
decriminalized.
we were very well behaved, but and there was a lot of chemicals floating around the air.
Yeah, we were not the only ones that were.
No, in fact,
altered.
the people on both sides of us and potentially the ones behind us were all on mushrooms.
Yes, I remember the ones off to the left of us were taking banana chipped.
Oh, they call them banana chips, yeah. So from now on, that's our code word, banana chips. Banana chips are caps and stems. But so obviously we're fans of ethnogenic medicines. But we have been actually on a couple of retreats, so we know how to do this responsibly. We know what our limits are. We know how to behave in public. We just there's an experience level there that we have. It's not okay in Idaho, but fortunately, we're real close to a lot of states where it is. So,
yeah.
So we have our little vacation times, and Colorado was one of those.
And we went there with some intentions.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we didn't take the medicine with the intent of getting high. We took the medicine with the intent of making this show the best show that it could be to really get in. And I think that we had a much better time than a lot of those people because we're sitting there and we're just kind of like feeling the music and holding hands. And we're you and I were like in our own little world, and everybody else was just kind of standing around like they were at a funeral.
Yeah, or mass.
Yeah,
Which,
or mass.
I mean, it's kind of one and the same, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of. But I thought there'd be more people doing heathen shit, like just being crazy, but everybody just seemed to kind of be really, really reserved and just kind of watch the show in awe, which tells me that there's a lot of people who don't know, who haven't a lot of experience or exposure to ritual. That's what that tells me, is like this ritual was so captivating for them. For me, it was just a show. Yeah. I mean, it
was a really good show.
Yeah.
I think also maybe you and I are a little spoiled because most of the concerts we've been to in our lives together have been, there's been a mosh pit.
Oh, yeah.
So we're used to seeing
like
over
Danzig
the crowd.
Or Chili Peppers or
if we're
Slayer.
If we're not in the mosh pit, we're watching it, and it's just this giant swirling, massive energy.
Right.
And that's what
You're right. I didn't think about that. Like we're used to seeing like there's this big ball, this like it's because as well as I do,
it's like this big vortex.
The pit has its own it has
life.
its own intelligence. Yeah, it's its own thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you get sucked into it, then you better know how to behave in that environment, right?
Yes.
So, because it's easy to go in and out of these pits without getting hurt, but you got to know how to behave in that environment. You got to know how to move. And who opened for them? What was her?
Elvor?
Elvor. Yeah, Elvor. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, she was beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
it was
we
absolutely
have a few of her
beautiful,
songs
yeah.
on our playlist. Yeah.
Yeah, we put it in some of our videos occasionally too.
Mhm,
At least the TikTok ones that are in the feed. Yeah. Yeah, absolute beautiful music.
I didn't even know Elvor was going to be there. But
I didn't either. Like, we didn't even look at the docket.
Yeah, and it had been so long since we've been to a concert. I didn't even think about someone opening for them.
I thought about it, but I was wondering like who would do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but they did keep running commercials for Ward Runa, who's
yeah.
coming back in September, right?
October,
yeah.
I think it's like October 3rd, which I don't know. I'm thinking maybe we should.
I'm thinking maybe we should go to that. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
But October kind of interferes with hunting season. But who cares? Because we're just going to go to Montana and kill elk anyway.
Montana.
Which is how this whole thing started. Was in Montana after we had a successful elk hunt, and we're sitting at the bar, and we're like, "Hey, Helung's coming." Oh, okay. Okay, I just bought 4 tickets.
It was an amazing time, and it was kind of the end of our trip. Like, we went early enough in our trip that we could do some sightseeing and some bar hopping. We got another tattoo.
We did. We got another tattoo.
This seems to kind of be a thing now.
We experimented with pharmaceuticals in Denver.
We may have experimented with pharmaceuticals.
Hey, I've never been to Denver, though. The weed stores are weird.
They are. It's like weird and...
Yeah, you got to like go in the front and like wait until they let you in the back, and they can only take 1 or 2 people at a time, customers. Like, it's really weird. It's almost like an old school drug deal.
We did go to Denver. We had a great time.
Yes.
With Stig and Sammy.
And Antonio Banderas, the 13th Warrior, was our shuttle driver.
Yes, and yeah, he...
Not lying, man. We got out the airport. We got on the airport shuttle that took us to the rental car place, and I swear the guy that drove us was Antonio Banderas, the 13th Warrior. It was really cool. I was like, Antonio!
He totally loved you after that.
He did. He liked it. He liked being... I think he was, though. I think he was probably Antonio Banderas. It's not like he's getting any work these days. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long has it been since you've seen him in a movie, right? He's driving a shuttle bus in Colorado, smoking weed on the weekends. That's what he's doing.
I think we pretty much played out our Denver trip and our high lung. And
yeah. Long story short, I did not get a Denver omelet in Denver.
No.
But
we did do a lot of drugs.
We experimented with legal pharmaceuticals in Denver.
That sounds way better.
Yeah.
This is why I keep you around.
This is why you keep me around?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so that happened. One of the highlights of that was we were always talking to Stig and Sammy, who went with us because they were with us on our hunt. They're our traveling companions, right? So
yeah.
Stig means wanderer anyway.
And he's teaching us. He's like teaching us how to just let go and wander.
The truth of the matter is we should be in Norway with them right now.
Yes.
But we just couldn't bring ourselves to go on another trip so soon after the last trip.
We should have.
We should have probably done it. But they're actually in Norway right now, and if you're one of our patrons, then you'll see we're kind of documenting their trip as much as they'll share their information with us. They send us pictures in a little bit, and then I write a little blurb and put it out on the thing. So they're actually getting to go meet one of our really close friends in Norway, Gardvord, from Gardvord Music. He's in Fetsung, Norway, which is by
Fetsung,
Oslo.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go meet with Gardvord. We sent some gifts along for him and his family, which is really cool. But Gardvord's been with us not since the beginning, but damn near.
Well, pretty much the beginning of our Discord.
Definitely from the beginning of our Discord, but I mean not from the beginning of Northwoods Kindred, like creating an outside movement, but damn near the beginning, Garvard found us. So Garvard's he's like our cultural correspondent in Norway, because anytime we need to know anything about how our American culture reflects with the Norwegian culture, then he is our go-to for that. So we can make sure that the things we do are American, because we are American, also true, but they also are not disrespectful or dismissive of the Norwegian culture, or Scandinavian culture in general, because he's not exactly just a Norwegian. Like he lives in Norway, but he knows about Sweden and Iceland, and he's
super knowledgeable.
He's pretty.
I don't know
deep.
how many languages he knows.
Yeah, he's pretty deep. So he's a good person to know. He's probably giggling right now that we're talking about him because he's going to watch this. But anyway, our crew's going to meet up with him there, and that's going to be really cool. And we're just kind of documenting their journey on our disc or on our
Patreon.
On our Patreon. So for any paid members, like 3, 6, or 9, we only have 3 tiers, 3, 6, and $9 a month. So,
I do want to mention at the end of this podcast, it always closes with the full song, our Northwoods Kindred theme song that Garboard did.
Yeah. So that
make for us.
Yeah, that music that it. Well, do you open it with the music still, or do you?
No, it's only closing on the podcast.
Closing on the podcast now. It used to be
the full song, so you can hear the full song.
Oh, okay. So when the closes, that whole song, that music that you hear, is the music is actually called the Northwoods Kindred, and it's by Garboard Music in Fetsund, Norway, and that's Garboard. So we're going to go pay him. Well, we aren't, but Stig and Sammy are going to pay him a visit. Right now, currently, they're in Bergen. Well, they might be traveling right now, but they sent some pictures from Bergen, and I've been doing a couple of little posts on the Patreon to kind of keep everybody abreast of what they're going through, because we can all live vicariously through them.
Yeah, they're kind of living the dream right now. They're just wandering around.
I can't wait to see what tattoo they get there, because it's sort of a thing now. We travel, we get a tattoo.
They already have a tattoo artist lined up.
And they're getting a hand poke. It was they're getting a hand poke. Yeah, it was a legit hand poke tattoo. So they're paying out the ass for it. So in Norway, because Norway's kind of expensive too.
Better be good.
So, but yeah, it's not about the quality of the tattoo. It's about the memory that goes.
It's about the experience. Yeah, I get it.
So
I get it. We have a couple of those.
So we did that in Denver too. We both got a tattoo on our hands. So we'll throw a picture up. Of that, and it's just like a little bit of squiggly graphic just to kind of highlight it, and then it's just like the web of weird, because we wanted that, and we wanted a tattoo in that location, and we also wanted the web of weird, so we just kind of put the two pieces together and paid too much for it. So that's definitely going to be a thing with us when we travel, especially with Stig and Sammy. Tattoos are going to happen. That's part of the budget. It's got to happen.
It's got to happen.
And it started with Stig in Iceland. I think Stig went, it was really cool because Stig, before he actually joined the Kindred, he and I had already known each other for a long time. But he's always been a wanderer, and he's always just traveling the world anyway, because why wouldn't you, right? And so he'd actually been through, I think he's been through Ireland and all that kind of stuff, but he went through Iceland, and he actually got the opportunity. He went through during a summer festival or something, and he got to go to a large public bloat near Thingvellir by the Asatrú. So he got to go stand in at a bloat, a public ritual in Iceland by whoever their Allherjargothi is right now. That would have been a really cool thing to do,
Yeah.
And but he didn't know enough about it. There's so many more things. Like he had not, as far as I know, had been really deep into like the sagas of Icelanders. Like he doesn't know the importance of Thingvellir, and he probably didn't even, as far as Asatrú goes, he probably didn't go try to seek out the gravesite of Sveinborn and go visit Sveinborn's grave and maybe put some flowers on it or something, or mount sit for a little while, spend a couple hours sitting there talking with Sveinborn. That would be really cool. Or some of the like noteworthy locations from the sagas of Icelanders, that would have been like real neat to see if you know the story, and like, oh, this is where he fought on the rocks, and this is where he died by the shore, and those would be really cool things.
So he may not have, like really known what he was doing or what he was seeing or feeling, but it must have spoke to his folk soul, because when you hit him up and you're like, hey, we're gonna do this thing, do you want to do it? And he's like, yeah,
he's like,
because this was before he went to Iceland before Northwoods, right? He went to
it was like
ritual
a year, possibly 2 years before Northwoods, and he actually hit me up because we hadn't talked since he left the Mountain Warfare Training Center, so it'd probably been good 10 years or more since I talked to Joe. And then out of the blue, he hit me up. He's like, hey, I know you're kind of a Norseman guy. Are you still doing that thing? And I'm like, bro, why the hell would I ever stop? Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'd really like to come to one of your gatherings or whatever. And I'm like, how the hell do you even know we got a kindred? Like, what do you... I just assumed. That's,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, man. We're pretty far away, right? And then, because I kind of dismissed him because we weren't really great friends. He was just some dude that worked for me, right?
Yeah.
And we had friction, like everybody has friction in the military. You know, you got people that you'll, die for, and there's people that you got friction with. He's one of the people I had friction with, but now I'll fucking die for him. So, I never held it. I had a thing like when I got out of the military, and I think if you're out of the military now, either retired or, just discharged or whatever, like you really gotta reach deep and you gotta forgive the people that you served with, because I mean, there was a lot of people who fucked me over. There was a lot of people I fucked over. Like there was in the military, you just do what you think is best for whatever your mission is. And whether that's your mission is to get ahead or your mission is to accomplish a specific task or goals, whatever it is, you just do what you think is best for your mission, and everybody else is just fodder. They're in the way of that, right? And so sometimes people's missions don't align and you create enemies or you create friction between people. But when you get out, man, we're all on the same page here. We're all just a bunch of fucked up vets trying to make our way, and you got to let that shit go. And fortunately, I figured that out just before I was contacted by someone who I had friction with in the military, right? So I had already been to the point where I'm done. I can't carry this any longer. I have to let it go. I just have to be free of all this hate and anger and bitterness and just let it go so I can move on and be a better person. And then he came back into my life, which is perfect timing, I think,
So, two things that when you were talking there. I wonder how soon after his Icelandic bloat that he contacted you to see if you were still doing the thing.
That's the question to ask, isn't it?
So I wonder, was it a couple months? Was it a month? Was it a year? And two, maybe when you were both active duty, you did have that friction, but when it came down to matter, he was there. He was absolutely there.
I know that.
And and that's something that a lot of our relatives weren't. So even though you guys had friction at that point, there was a point where each knew the difference, and it's like, okay, everything aside, I got to do what I got to do.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, I was his instructor at sniper school. I put him through sniper school. So
which you were probably totally a dick.
So I'm a generation or a generation and a half ahead of him.
Yes. Yeah.
So those aren't my buddies. Those are always my subordinates. Right.
Yeah.
And so you never really have that good relationship with your subordinates, especially if they're troublemakers like Stig.
He was a troublemaker.
So,
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's just a senior subordinate relationship and it's not going to change. But now it's just two brothers who served together and did a lot of weird shit together.
Yeah. It's interesting how you can be so far apart and then all of a sudden be so close together.
Yeah. Like the experiences we shared as senior and subordinate are so much more bonding now than just two people who've known each other since high school or whatever,
Yeah. And I want to say it's interesting, and the thought is not lost on me that way back years ago when he essentially came to my rescue.
For the firewood.
Yeah.
While I was in Norway, no doubt.
While you were in Norway, like that. So it's quite interesting how full circle this comes.
Yeah.
And
now we're documenting his trip to Norway.
Yes.
Which is really,
Yeah.
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 You just really don't know who you're going to come across again. So you can't do wrong by treating people right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By just being nice to people and treating people well, you just can't do wrong because you never know when that person might have power over you or just be useful or just be a friend, or a brother in this circumstance. Like I can't imagine Northwoods Kindred without Stig's influence on it.
Yes.
I can't imagine Northwoods Kindred without Jafnhar.
Yes.
And even though Grafiel's only been here for hanging out with us like 2 years, 3 years now? 3 years, I think, right? Is it 3 years since we helped with the Iron Ravens? Iron Ravens is 3 years old.
No, they just had their second birthday. We're getting ready to have our fourth birthday.
Okay, so they're on their third year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think we were, when we started Northwoods Kindred, we started a year. And then a year after.
So the question is, when we met Iron Ravens, when we first met Chris, we invited him to our birthday party, which was like a month after we met him. What birthday was that? Was that 2 or was that 1?
That was 2.
That was 2. That was
I
our
believe
second
that was
birthday.
2. Because when we started Northwoods Kindred, we didn't start it as an online kindred. You know, as an online.
That's right.
We did
At least a year without, just in
It was
private,
a
right?
year, yeah, in private, just learning how to be kin and being able to focus on each other and
Right.
how we do things.
And then we're like,
Because we
hey,
were
why don't we take
teaching
this show on the
everybody.
road? Yeah.
All of our members of Northwoods, they've never done anything like this, so it was a lot of learning.
Yeah.
And then,
Of course, Hawken coming up and lending his wisdom every once in a while, too. We talk about a little bit of the past and the things that got us to where we're at and where we're sitting right now. But if you want to know more about what's going on with Stig and Sammy, then absolutely go check out our Patreon. The link is somewhere. It should be pretty easy to find. I can't tell you where it's going to be because I don't know where it's going to be. But most likely, wherever the description of this show is, the link is in there somewhere. And go to our Patreon. We have 3 tiers, $3, $6, and $9. Pretty simple. You get a discount to our store with all our handmade stuff. Some of it's imported, but most of it's handmade. And then you have flyers, right? We got all our flyers there.
yeah, flyers, leaflets, downloads.
We'll talk about that because some of that's going to have to change, I think, soon. And then, so the store, right? And then what else do we offer on Patreon? Recipe of the month.
Recipes. We have gathering reports. We have operations orders.
Gathering reports are more consistent than operations orders because not every gathering requires an operations order.
Yes, yes.
But when they do require an operations order, then I write one. It's a whole 5-paragraph order, like military style, about what, who, what, when, where, why, and how for the gathering.
Yeah, and I will say that I'm kind of the one that does the gathering reports, and I am not a writer, so...
She does fine. Don't let her denigrate herself.
No, I'm not trying to denigrate myself. I'm trying to say that it takes me a few days. It does take me time, because I am critical of myself. I understand that, but it does take me a few days. So
yeah.
It does take a while.
Yeah, it does.
Plus
yeah.
all the life and all that stuff that goes in on it too.
And then there's usually we usually have like a standout recipe.
Yes.
Right, that goes into each gathering, and it's not like this whole ton of interaction. We're learning how to do better.
We certainly,
but we don't
do
ask
better.
for much either. We don't ask for much.
No,
and it really goes a long way to help support like this because there's no money coming in from this podcast. This podcast has been around a year now.
Yeah.
I've made $3.24 on this podcast, so you know, and I haven't actually cashed it in. It's just sitting there. So, yeah. So when the little commercial comes up in a minute, like don't freak out. Like
just watch it, please.
I'll get 12 cents off of it or something. And yeah. Anyway,
but no, we also do sometimes on Patreon, especially for the highest tier, we have exclusive videos, and we've done 2 really big. Exclusive hunt videos where we've shown blood sacrifice. Yeah,
because we can't do that on YouTube. We can't do like a blood sacrifice. So one of them was this last hunt we were on with Stig and Sammy, and we killed 3 elk. And that last elk, she had some heart. She ran off. So we found her, and then we bled her a little bit into a. What do we have? I had a canteen cup.
You had a canteen cup, and we carried our bloat beer. We had carried it for a couple of days.
Yeah, we carried a beer around with us. Just in case. We probably should have, in hindsight, brought a bottle of mead, but whatever. The beer was fine. It was really about the blood anyway.
We had a lot of beer, and we all managed. This was our bloat beer. Like that was like we all knew. Don't touch the bloat beer.
Right. Yeah. So we had the beer in our pack, and then we bled her out into the bowlie, and we poured some beer in it because hey, if you're ever doing a live animal sacrifice, you got to put something in there, or it will turn into a gelatinous mass like a liver. It'll look like a liver in the bottom of your bowlie, and you can't spread it around like you're supposed to. So make sure you put some alcohol or something in there to loosen it up and keep it from coagulating. So that's just like a little tip that people don't know if they've never sacrificed an animal. But in this case, we killed her, and then we had a doe hunt earlier this year. So we film it, and we make it like a really whitewashed version of that, and we put it on YouTube so people can see how to honor an animal when you hunt. But when the actual ritual and our words and everything, that's something we give to the patrons, right?
Yeah. It's quite more intimate.
Yeah.
I think, and I know like Sammy and I really got emotional for.
Well, that was Sammy's first hunt, right?
Yeah, that was her first time hunting
Yeah.
and watching an animal be taken down and then having to go searching for it.
Mm-hmm.
And she thought we were all going to like abandon it.
Yeah, instead of finding it.
And
Yeah.
it's like, no, you don't know these guys. They're not going to stop. Their feet will fall off before they stop.
Yeah, we're not going to stop. We're going to find
Yeah.
that animal.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it was a really emotional time. And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Yeah.
And it was something that it's really nice to share on Patreon because to put it on YouTube, man, we would get in so much trouble.
Well, in addition to getting in trouble from YouTube, you got to understand we have to have the Patreon because it's a place where we can share with people that we matter to. Nobody's going to give $3, $6, or $9 a month if we don't matter to them. Nobody signs up on Patreon to troll us. Right? So
Right.
the amount of getting raked over the coals we get on YouTube, it's not worth putting something like that. Like I don't want to be attacked by a bunch of liberals and like vegans. I don't want to be attacked by vegans over the fact that I harvest my own food from the wild, you know?
Yeah.
But other pagans can at least see the beauty and the reverence that we have for those animals, you know?
Yeah.
So they can see that. So some things have to be pushed off to a different audience, a specific audience that's cultivated just for the reason that we can share these real intimate moments with them, right?
Yes, and we've heard some horror stories from some fellow pagans that they have tried to do blood sacrifice and it's gone really wrong.
Well, we were talking about hunting, but yeah, blood sacrifices. So we're going to we raise sheep now, and we raise them for the sole purpose of food, right? I mean, we'll shear them and we'll use their
Well, I'm kind of fond of the ladies, of the sisters, but yeah, we're going to totally eat their babies.
Yeah, however that works. There's one there that she's kind of a bully, and I might eat her first. So, because she keeps headbutting Dot, and I don't like that.
I know Dot's your favorite.
Dot's my favorite. She's the underling in that one, but she got a little dot on her ear. That's it. She's just all white, but she got a little dot on her ear. Anyway, Dottie aside.
Okay.
We will be sacrificing in ritual because we have to kill them anyway to eat them.
Yes.
Why wouldn't we do it ritualistically since we know how? And just so everybody's kind of understands that other religions do this too. The Muslims kill and it's halal. There's a specific way and a technique that has to be done a certain way for the food to be halal. And the other one would be kosher, and it has to be done, you know, there are requirements. So the food has to be prepared in a certain way in order to meet these religious requirements. And admittedly, I don't know what all the requirements are. I'm a little bit more familiar with halal than I am with kosher because while I was teaching survival at the Mountain Warfare Training Center, we would take 45 students for survival. Generally, we'd never graduated that much. We'd probably graduate about 25. A lot of people would quit or get sick or whatever. It is really rough on the body when you're spending 3 weeks living off the land in the mountains, right? But we initiated the course with some classroom time, and then we'd go up to the mountains, and we would do like a week, a mentor phase is what I called it. And we would, in the mentor phase, every student would kill a rabbit, and then they would not only process the food for storage for medium to long-term jerky and that kind of stuff, but they would also have to process the hide and then build something useful out of it. Maybe they'd make a mitten or like a little mitt sleeve or a haversack or make something useful out of it, right? Don't waste it.
Yes.
Bones and stuff were kind of a bonus. Like, yeah, if you want to make fish hooks and stuff, great, but you have them in your kit, right? So if you want to do other paleo type skills, that's fine. But ideally, they would kill a rabbit, and then I wanted them to kill. They would have to catch a fish and consume a fish. So I have some techniques, some mountain techniques that will absolutely fill your coffers with fish, but I'm not going to talk about them here. But every student would have a fish. Within 2 days of it being in camp, every student would have a trout to work with. But then I told them they can't use that technique the rest of the time they're up there because they'll clear out my streams and I won't have any fish for the next class, right?
Yeah.
Because they're way too useful. So, hey, too bad you guys weren't checking out my old survival channel. I showed it once.
Too bad.
But so we would have to do a fish, a small mammal, a fowl. So I had a chicken for every person, and then we would have to do a large game.
Didn't you, when it was time to do the chickens, didn't you just start tossing chickens out in the woods? And
I did, yeah, and made them go chase them and run them down, yeah.
So
made them
just
work for it.
waste calories.
Yeah, burning calories. So when they finally got their chicken, they run. But that's beside the point. That's just gunny harassment. So they would catch their chickens eventually. But the chickens had a shot. They had a shot at it.
Yeah.
They had a shot
Did
at it.
anybody not catch their chicken?
Not that I know of, no.
Yeah.
But not that I know of, because it was a requirement.
I guess
it.
they were pretty hungry at that time, right?
Yeah. Well, we're only a day into it, so they could have gotten without it. But so anyway, they got the chickens. So they had to kill and process a fowl, so some kind of bird, which was in that case a chicken. I could have probably done quail and give them less food, but whatever. They're going to be hungry by the end of it.
Yeah.
So I did a chicken, a rabbit, and the rabbit they had to process the hide and make something good out of the hide and braid tan it. And then, and of course, this was the time. This was mentor phase, so this is the time where I could teach them how to do this. Then you do what you got to do, but that's not the point of having a survival course. The survival course is a worst case scenario. It's never the best case scenario.
Yeah.
So we teach them how to do with the worst case scenario, right?
Right.
And then how to do as good as possible so they can get into a better case. That's it. But the idea is that I always showed them how to. We had a large game too, so we did the fowl, the fish, the small game, and the large game. And the large game was always 2 to 3 goats, depending on how many students we had. I don't think we ever went to 4, but we could have if we needed to. But it was always goats, and we'd have to kill them, skin them, process the meat, and then the meat would get divvied up between everybody so when they go out into their individual phase, because there's multiple phases. We're in the mentor phase. We're all teaching. We're here living with the instructors, and we're all doing it. And by the way, Stig was one of my instructors here, too, so he was doing all this with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so we have Stig and we have at least 2 people here that know this process, right? So we would have them do, and it's kind of gruesome, but in halal, you do cut the throat. You don't get to shoot them in the head or anything like that. So in halal, you have to you got to cut the throat. So there's a way to do that. But the point is that there's a way to kill the animal with a knife, quick and efficient, without it suffering. And I've seen stories people have told me, like, since we've come out and we talk about this, like, oh, we got a pig and oh, it was a massacre. It was just a horrible, horrible moment. We didn't know what we were doing. When it comes down to the sheep, I can say, hey, if you want to know how to do it, join my Patreon. There's videos there that show exactly how to do it. I can't put those on YouTube. I can't do it.
Tasteful videos.
Tastefully done, but they're still instructional. The whole point is that you want to learn from somebody who knows how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And not only did I know how to do it anyway, but because I've been to a zillion survival courses and events and all that other stuff, but also I went to SEER instructor course in Norway, and they had a whole different way of doing things. And they taught it because we did a sheep and a rabbit and a chicken. Yeah, we did the same in Norway. And it was all done essentially the same way. Their techniques are a little bit different, and their rules are a little different. Like all their knife blades got to be boiled before they kill. We don't do that, But so it's just different rules. But the point is, I know how to do it, and flawlessly. Like I don't have. There's not going to be a massacre. The animal's not going to get away and run around spraying blood everywhere. It's not going to be this disgusting, revolting thing. I can do it as efficiently as anybody who does it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it would be really nice to teach that.
Clean.
Quick and clean. Because you at least owe the animal. Nobody owes the animal misery and pain, right? If you're out there with a freaking bat trying to knock a pig to death, you're a moron. And you have no business you're not honoring the gods by torturing an animal. That's kind of the point, right? So you probably see a little jumping around here too, but what you don't, this is all new setup. I got a new soundboard, new camera equipment, like everything's new here. And thanks, Patreon.
Thanks, Patreon.
And because of that, we're trying to work the bugs out of the system. So you just got to deal with that. But so that's the point with the animal sacrifice. And that's where we're going in the future. We'd like to be able to provide those kind of instructional things. I'm building out my Gothi course, right? So I can actually teach people not only how to lead a kindred, because leadership is important, but ritual leadership is proper. Altered states of consciousness are proper. Like you got to know how to do. You got to know how to journey with the ancestors. You got to know how to do it with the Seta, drumming, chanting, journaling, meditation, mantras,
focusing.
All those things
refocusing.
All those things are altered states of consciousness, non-chemical altered states of consciousness. They're all important, and any Gothi should know how to do these things. If not, You know, you got to know how to do these things because you have to be. This is the medicine that helps to heal our people. And if you don't know which medicine to apply to your people, you know, without chemicals, without sacrament, without mushrooms and weed and all that other shit, but just healing from within, like knowing how your body works, knowing how to breathe, breath work. I didn't know if I said that.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the Gothis that have been popping up lately, like they're just getting kind of thrown in that role and they're trying to do the best they can, I think. So it's not like they're trying to do wrong by their people. They just don't know how to help. They
don't know how to take it to that next level. Yeah. And some of them, their leadership skills. I mean, I got 20 years in the Marine Corps. Like I got a little bit of leadership training. So it's nice to be able to take that and mold it into what we need and put it back into the community too. So it's a little bit different than just somebody who just throws together a course based on Norse mythology. Yeah,
I really think that you can do a lot of help and benefit to our people.
Yeah, you know,
once you get there, once you get that course going, and
it's not going to make everybody happy. Some people are going to hate me. Some people hate me anyway, and
there's going to be.
I don't have to do anything to make people hate me. I can just sit on my ass and do nothing, and people are still going to hate me. So I would rather just be active and do stuff, and then people can hate me for that. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm over it completely of that. But it took a long time. Like it was rough. It's like, why is those fucking people so mean to me? You know, I'm just trying to help. You know, but I'm over that shit now. So whatever. So that's what I want to do is I want to put this together, but this doesn't come without a cost, and that's a big deal with Patreon and we do get some flack once in a while over having like commercials in our YouTube videos. We try not to put them in the middle of ritual, but sometimes YouTube does its own thing. But the monetization is important because we do get a couple of bucks off of that. Not much, you know, $100 a month maybe.
Yeah.
But it covers hosting and it covers like being able to use better audio because we do have subscription services.
Yeah, we do have a lot of subscription services to help make everything clearer and sound better and look better. And
hey, you guys can help us too because if you just share the videos, you know, share them to your people or comment on them and do those things. Everybody's like, share, comment. That really does push the engagement. And I mean, look around this space. There's little tiny Norse pagan channels and there's really, really big, huge Norse pagan channels. And there's really not any distinguishing between which ones are better and worse, other than some of them caught the wind in their sails and some of them didn't. And I feel like we're among the best of what's available, you know? I like some of the channels. I don't like other ones. I'm not going to get into why or who, but I feel like that we're among the best, most usable, tangible information that comes from a really good source that's out there available right now, but we don't seem to catch the wind in our sails the same. But that would go a long way to be able to help me create these schools and these trainings, because as it is right now, every penny of this comes out of my pocket, really. You know? So that's what we're trying to... The first couple of years, we didn't make any money. We're just now trying to figure out, like, hey, if we want to continue to do this, we're going to have to, it's going to have to somehow support itself. It don't have to make us rich, but it's got to support itself,
well,
right?
We have so many grand ideas to bring into the future. Like, we have all these things, and it's right there. And some of them are being held back by financial and some are being held back by because we're not ready yet, or
we don't have the time. Like,
or we don't have the time.
So we both work full-time jobs too. So this isn't a full-time. Well, this is like our second job, right? So we put a lot of effort in it. You might not see it, but we put a lot of effort into these videos and then just engaging with people in the comments of TikTok and stuff. And you know, sometimes I get emails that I don't even see for weeks because I don't have time to check my email. You know, that's really rough.
Or sometimes because we have our emails, you know, we both are on the same email, but like I might open it and forget to tell you about it, and then you don't see it for weeks later, and it's like, hey, did you ever respond to that one dude? And it's like, oh, oops, I opened that and I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. Yeah, today.
Yeah,
I've seen some of those today when I was going through clearing it out.
Sorry, babes.
It's okay. It happens. If it's important, he'll email me again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to go on other podcasts.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, which I really love to do. It's just when.
Yeah.
So anyway, so those kind of things help. So if you can help with our engagement, it helps us put more better products out that help everybody in the community. At least we try to. We're really in this to help people. We're really not into this to get rich.
I will tell you
which ain't happening anyway.
that I do forget a lot too when I'm watching different YouTube videos.
Yeah, you got to say it.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, da-da-da. It sounds cheesy, but you got to say it.
I really forget.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm watching some of the leather making videos and I really want to get in the shop and make stuff out of leather, I forget to like, share, and comment. It's like, it's such a small moment in my life that can help someone so much because of the engagement. And I always forget.
Yeah.
And feel
bad. And that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We're not on Rumble or any of that stuff.
No, but
we probably should be.
I want to say we have a Rumble. I kind of remember signing up for it.
We have a Rumble, but we're not on it.
I kind of remember signing up for it like a year and a half ago.
But we're more concerned with YouTube's algorithm right now.
Yes.
And YouTube, like if you're watching a video or even this podcast and you really, really enjoy it and you're into it and you don't like it or drop a comment or share it, which is the best thing you could do is share, honestly. And of course, subscribe. Yeah, that's the best thing. That's what YouTube wants, because if you share it and it brings in 2 people and they share it and it brings in 4 people, that's the kind of engagement that YouTube's really looking for. Comment's okay, but a comment just dies in the comment section, right? Watching it is fine. A like is just a like. It just dies in the like section. But when you share it, you create this exponential growth. And that's what YouTube wants, because when your videos bring people into the platform and then hold them here, or bring them in and then send them off to other videos like the other creators that are in our space and that kind of stuff, that's what really triggers the algorithm to think it. So if you really want to help us get ahead, it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to join Patreon. You just have to share the videos to your groups, because most of these groups, you're not even allowed to share your own stuff.
No, you're not.
Yeah, you share your own stuff, you get banned.
Yeah, you get.
But if you share someone else's stuff, so if you share our stuff in your private Viking groups, that's all fine, right?
Yeah, I have tried to share some of our stuff. Like, I've been in multiple Facebook groups and stuff like that, and they ask a legitimate question and I'll share a video because we have that answer.
Yeah.
Or at least we can help on their path with that
right.
answer. And yeah, I get spanked.
And they're like, oh, you can't share your own stuff. It's like, we're not trying to just pimp ourselves. We're trying to help this person who asked a legitimate question.
They don't care about that. They don't care about that.
So you guys can do that for us. So that's pretty cool. We don't know how to do it, truthfully. But I know that sharing videos is one of the major pushes for the YouTube algorithm, because sharing a video brings people back. If you share a video to a Facebook group, there's almost a guarantee that at least 2 people are going to check in on that video that wouldn't have checked in before. At least 2. Yeah. So one of the reasons that we would like to make a little money on this or other endeavors is because it's hard to push these other programs without the right representation. And that's one of the things we have going next week is we have an appointment with the attorney week after. So we can get our 501c3, which is a very important step for us. We'll get our 501c3. We'll be a legitimate church. And then as I build my Gothi training, we can actually legitimately ordain. Hey guys, we're getting a little long in the tooth on this one, so we're going to end it and then come back in a couple of days, maybe next week, by the time we get it edited, and come back for the second half of this, because we're really going to get kind of deep into some really good topics that you're probably not going to want to miss. Am I right?
Yeah, you totally got.
Because I'm doing this after the fact, and we've already talked about it, and believe me, you're going to want to come back.
He got spun up.
I got spun up. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Þórr viki.
Þórr viki.